This is WKYT News at 6:30 on the CW Lexington.
Good evening. I'm Sam Dick, and welcome to WKYT News at 6:30 right here on the CW Lexington. You know, the weekend is almost here, and in a minute, Chris Bailey will join me. We'll serve up a forecast that looks pretty solid, at least for Saturday and Sunday. Trending right now, Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell breaking his silence on his party's presidential nominee. At a rally in Georgetown, he urged the need for Donald Trump to be the next president and the most powerful Republican in America. That story is the most clicked on right now on WKYT.com. That's followed by 3 dead in a crash on Interstate 64 in Franklin County, and a Lexington high school student bringing a loaded gun to school. Here's what we're following right now at 6:30. Kentucky Governor Bevin issuing a state of emergency today in response to wildfires burning across the Commonwealth. WKYT's Garrett Weimer has the latest on the state's coordinated efforts to try and battle those fires. Homeowners in Harlan County worried as wildfires get dangerously close to homes. We talked to people there about how they're dealing with that situation.
The wrong person behind the wheel, or you get a truck that's not mechanically sound, it's dangerous.
Closed weigh stations are becoming a common sight on Kentucky interstates. WKYT's investigative reporter Miranda Combs joining us later in this newscast to break down the news about what they're doing to try and fix that problem. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, as advertised, is here up and ready to go. I'm getting the sense, after listening to you for the last 2 hours, that maybe a little bit more rain has creeped in.
Yeah, in southeastern Kentucky, anything is going to help right now, Sam.
Yeah.
One thing that's, I think, really going to help the most, the increase in humidity. It's been bone dry.
Okay.
You get a little more moisture available in the atmosphere, and that can slow the progress of some of those fires down. Maybe not putting out all of the flames, but hey, you're getting it on some rain out there as well. Here's our Jackson cam to show you what's going on. At times today, at times yesterday, was a little smoky. It's not as smoky as 24 hours ago, so I'm going to take that as some good news, even though it may just be the wind direction. Right now, Lexington, another little band of some gusty rains blowing back into town. But let's concentrate on southeastern Kentucky, shall we, where we have these forest fires that are burning out of control. But look at all the green that is showing up here, where you get the dark green, where you get in on some of the yellows and the oranges. It's a locally heavy downpour, and especially into parts of Lee County, Owsley County, across the Jackson County area, and points to the east and southeast from there, dealing with scattered showers. So 1 or 2 fires, at least we can knock 1 or 2 down this evening. The rest of them, we just want to get it to where Mother Nature can help the forestry officials, the firefighters down there get everything a little more under control. Nothing across central Kentucky for now, but this is the front. Here's a narrow band of showers, and I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a lightning strike coming from that over the next little bit. That'll continue to drop from north to south, so as we go through the next few hours, Sam will especially focus along and south of 64, an increased shot for some more scattered showers. And when I come back in 10 minutes, buddy, we'll talk about the big weekend that is just ahead of us.
Looking forward to that. Thank you, Chris. Kentucky's on the fire watch tonight, as we've been reporting. The governor declaring a statewide emergency as crews try to put out wildfires burning throughout the state. The Kentucky Division of Forestry says nearly 40 active fires have burned 3,800 acres. Now the Kentucky National Guard is sending in 3 Army helicopters to try and help fight the fires. WKYT's Garrett Weimer has the latest on the state's response. He has our top story at 6:30.
The State Emergency Operations Center here in Frankfort has been activated as state officials work to support efforts led by the Division of Forestry to put those fires out. With the EOC at level 3, representatives from each state cabinet are here as the state works to coordinate efforts to battle the fires. The Division of Forestry says crews responded to 44 fires today. They say the fires have burned more than 6,000 acres since they started. The governor declared a state of emergency, and the National Guard deployed 3 choppers to drop water on the fires from the air. State officials have been briefed throughout the day to stay on top of new information about the fires. Unfortunately, they expect the dry conditions feeding them to stick around. They say even rain the region saw today won't be enough to help much.
We're dependent on the weather, but the Air National Guard is now dropping water on fires, and that's going to help, and it will continue to help. But until we get a good soaking rain, we're going to be in the soup a little bit.
State officials say they expect their efforts here to go on for at least a week as they work to put those fires out. At the State Emergency Operations Center in Frankfort, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
And listen to this. The state's emergency management director says this is the first time that wildfires have caused a state of emergency here since 2001. Now, thankfully, there are still no reports of evacuations, injuries, or house fires. Harlan County is one of the hardest hit areas. The judge executive there already issued a local state of emergency. More than 1,500 acres are burning there. WKYT's Caleb No continues our team coverage from Harlan.
Well, the situation only seems to get worse for people here in Harlan County as the fires continue to spread, and there's only so much they can do to keep it from getting closer to their homes. Kent Lewis watches from his doorstep as fire burns 40 feet from his Harlan County home.
You're sitting there watching the fire consume what's around you, and there's nothing you can do.
His family members have worked day and night this week to try to keep the fire away.
We worked on it all night last night and all morning this morning, and we need some help.
They're using their own equipment to fight the flames until help arrives.
You're scared, your adrenaline's rushing, you're just trying to do everything you can to save your house.
Harlan County is one of more than a dozen counties in the region under burn bans. The one positive note, we're told nobody has been hurt in the flames and no houses have caught fire. Now, we're told help is on its way from other parts of the state, but until then, people who live around here are hoping for some kind of assistance from Mother Nature, being any amount of rain that could help with this battle. Reporting in Harlan County, Caleb No, WKYT.
Caleb, thank you. And outdoor burn bans have now been issued in at least 14 Kentucky counties and the entire Daniel Boone National Forest. Fleming and Clay counties are new to that list. You can find a full list of counties under a burn ban at WKYT.com. For the third time in just 5 days in Lexington, a pedestrian has died after being hit by a car. Investigators say the deadly collision happened about 7 a.m., the latest example. They say the 26-year-old Dylan Hahn was trying to cross Richmond Road between Eagle Creek and Squires Road. He was hit by oncoming traffic after crossing outside of the crosswalk. Police say a woman was driving outbound on Richmond Road when she hit Hahn in the outbound lanes. He was rushed to the University of Kentucky Hospital, where he later died. Hahn makes the 8th pedestrian hit and killed in Lexington this year. We now know the names of 3 men killed in a fiery crash yesterday morning. The sheriff says the crash was caused when a van blew a tire on I-64 near the Shelby County line. The coroner says that 46-year-old Julio Ramirez, 40-year-old Santiago Lopez, and 28-year-old Jose Lobos were killed. All 3 are from Lexington. Police say the driver survived the crash. 3 men who pled guilty to a deadly Clark County shooting were sentenced to prison today. Christopher Robinson, Aaron Staley, and Lamont Wilkerson admitted to their roles in the 2014 shooting death of Amber Cottle. Cottle died from a stray bullet that was fired inside an apartment above hers. Christopher Robinson was sentenced to a total of 30 years for murder, burglary, and 2 counts of assault. Wilkerson was sentenced to 27 years and Staley 25 years for complicity to each of those charges. Those 3 men agreed to testify about the events that night as part of their plea agreement. Those could be used in the case for the 4th person charged in this case who will be going to trial. A Tates Creek High School student accused of bringing a loaded gun to school went in front of a judge today. School officials say the teenager told them he needed the gun for protection outside of school. During his arraignment today, a judge entered a not guilty plea for Lamar Sanford and released him into the custody of his father. He will now have to wear an electronic monitor. People in Kentucky who use natural gas to heat their homes, and there are many of those, are looking at slightly higher prices this winter compared to last year. The Kentucky Public Service Commission says gas prices have risen on average about 12% from this time last year, and that's still about 60% below the peak prices reached in 2008. About 44% of Kentuckians heat their homes with natural gas. Truck weigh stations. Well, they're having a tough time staying open across the state of Kentucky. WKYT's Miranda Combs joins me in less than 3 minutes to break down the news about why that is and how the closures are a risk to public safety. Those Chicago Cubs ending their century-long wait for a World Series title early this morning. Dave Buzz Baker joins me later in the Sports Buzz to talk about the epic World Series Game 7. Welcome back to WKYT News at 6:30, live here on the CW Lexington. Well, maybe you've noticed closed weigh stations are a pretty common sight on Kentucky interstates, and that has some state officials concerned. Because of the lack of vehicle enforcement officers and inspectors, weigh stations are only open 29% of the time in Kentucky. That averages out to about 14 days a week. And if the weigh stations are closed, which many of them are, the state can't collect fines for unpaid taxes and, more importantly, can't catch drivers operating illegally.
They pattern us. They know when we're out. They know when the scale facilities are open.
You're supposed to get from point A to point B the best, safest, quickest way you can. If you're going around them, you're hiding something.
To help us break down the news, Miranda Combs, our investigative reporter, joins us. And, you know, I think I've noticed, but I didn't really give it much thought. If I'm going down the interstate, most of the weigh stations in Kentucky, it seems like that I go past, seem to be vacant. But I didn't really think about it as being important until your story tonight.
I think we all have noticed that. We all probably follow the same routes and notice it's closed, but you don't think it's happening all over the state. As one of the truck drivers we interviewed said, he goes the same route and noticed his is closed, but didn't know it was the same thing everywhere. But apparently it is. 29% of the time is all month long these weigh stations are open. And this comes down to a manpower issue. There aren't enough inspectors, so they can't keep them open.
So the people that want to avoid the weigh stations that are open, do they figure out a way to get around this and pattern the way that they drive and where they drive?
And they're not having to as much if they're closed in the first place. But right, yes, they're going around them. In fact, we hung out at the weigh station in London, the southbound I-75 weigh station. And right there, they said in September alone, 40,000 semis went by that weigh station and only 250 were checked. So that tells you how many trucks are getting by without being checked. And this is also a concern for the truck drivers that are compliant because they want a level playing field, as we were talking about. All this tax money goes straight to the roads and straight to the bridges. And the better the roads and bridges are, the better their trucks are going to run on those roads. So they want their office, so to speak, to be in good working order.
And better for all of us that travel that aren't truckers. So is this costing millions and millions of dollars? Do we know how much?
We don't know exactly the numbers. They're trying to figure that out. But the state says it's well over millions of dollars that's going out the window, so to speak, by not getting these taxes, by not getting these fines from these truckers when they come through these weigh stations.
So the answer is to hire more people.
Hire more people.
Get them in here and get them working.
They say they're going to do 25 this year in the fall, they said, and they're going to do 25 more inspectors in the spring. But here's the other issue. Apparently these inspectors are paid very low considering what troopers make, what officers make. So that's also a concern in regard to keeping these inspectors on staff.
Okay. You know, you do a good job.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a compliment from you.
Thank you for bringing this to light.
All right, great.
Miranda Combs. All right, you can join the conversation by leaving your comments on WKYT.com or our Facebook page. Let us know what you think. Well, there's another guy that does a pretty good job around here. His forecast is right almost every minute he puts it out there.
Sam, we're wondering, buddy, what you're what you're up to here.
I'm your agent now.
Yeah. You know what? Can you give me a little raise here in the next year? Let's look outside and show you what we are dealing with right now. And we have clouds that are across central Kentucky. We've had some rain into the region today. Not a whole lot, but we'll take each and every drop that we can get. And another little round of some showers beginning to creep back into town now. Cold front right on top of the area. So it's got some chillier air to the north, warmer air to the south. That's a seasonal brand of chill that is coming in behind it. But right along that front, I said it earlier, don't be surprised if we don't squeeze out a little strike of lightning at some point. And I think that is a possibility. Hey, best news of this entire day is the rain into southeastern Kentucky. It isn't a lot, but I'm telling you, this will go a long way in allowing the forestry officials and the firefighters down there to at least get the upper hand on a few of those fires. From Beattyville, Boonville, there into Lee and Owsley counties, to the southeast. Harlan County had a story on this where you have a state of emergency that was declared by the governor and also on local officials there in Harlan County. You're getting in on some rains that are coming through right now, and some additional drops are to the north of that. Big Sandy Valley, Licking River Valley, a break in the action here, but look at this stuff around Moorhead. And that's dropping through Sandy Hook, parts of Carter County, and back to the northwest, maybe southern parts of Fleming County, northern Bath County. That's trying to connect to some stuff that is out across the Bluegrass region. So that's a broken line of some showers and maybe a rumble of thunder dropping in from northwest to southeast. How do we roll into the day tomorrow? Temperatures in the 40s to start, upper 50s into the afternoon. Low 60s southern Kentucky. It's one of those days to where you'll have some sun, a little cloud cover. You get under more clouds and sun, you're talking 55, 56 degrees. You get a little more sun, 60-ish southern Kentucky. Quick drop in thermometers as we go post-sunset tomorrow with dry air in place, the 40s. will dominate into Friday evening. We roll through the weekend. Green is good. Nothing going on Saturday into Sunday, both days with some mid and upper 30s to start. Mix of sun and clouds, nice afternoons into the 60s on a gusty southwesterly wind. Let's take you into part of that weekend now. Hour-by-hour forecast. In just a few minutes, we're going to see that broken band of showers and storms drifting south of 64 and then getting on out of town. But through the day tomorrow, we're going to fight some clouds that will be stubborn at noon. Look at the noontime temperature here. 50 Mount Sterling, Moorhead, Ashland, 56 into Danville. That's sun versus some clouds. Now into the afternoon, the clouds try to break up a bit. Most areas in the 50s. 44 by 11 o'clock for a night out on the town. 30s to begin the day on Saturday, with some low and mid 60s that will show up into the afternoon on Saturday. Heading out to Commonwealth Stadium Saturday evening. Temperatures for tailgating, low 60s. Temperature for kickoff, upper 40s to around 50. Temperatures into the fourth quarter, Sam, as we are
jumping up and down,
ready to celebrate a UK victory, yelling touchdown Kentucky, with temperatures that will be generally into the 40s during that time.
I'll be warm if that's happening. I'll be ready to go.
I don't care about the temperatures. Give me the W.
There you go. We come back. Speaking of that, what concerns Cat fans have the most about those Georgia dogs? Dave Baker has the Sports Buzz next. Time now on this Thursday for the Sports Buzz. Each night we'll talk with Dave Buzz Baker on an inside look at what's going on. A lot of people didn't get a lot of sleep last night. I stayed up, and I'm not the biggest baseball fan in the world, but I thought there's something important going on here. This is historic. And the more I watched, I couldn't turn away. Got to that rain delay. I'm like, how is this going to end?
You and 40 million are your best friends.
Were you doing that?
Into the late night.
Yeah.
It was something. Between the two teams, a combined 174 years without a championship, and who knows, it could be another 174 before we see another World Series game like last night's Game 7. Cubs, Indians, oh my goodness, this thing went back and forth, finally goes into the 10th inning, as Sam said, after a rain delay, and the Cubs break that 108-year-old drought, and they win it 8-7. They win the series 4-3. So Theo Epstein is the guy. He's still like a kid. He's like his late 30s, early 40s. He was the general manager, sure Hall of Famer. He was the GM at Boston when they ended their big drought. And he was talking about the fact that so many people called in and they saw so many pictures of people that had gone back to, like, hang out with their deceased parents and things like that, how much it meant to them. Similar sort of deal here. And it would have been the same thing for the Indians as well. But this was a team, when Epstein came over to the Cubs, he had to tear the team apart. He did that, build it up through the bullpen. So many great stories. The Schwarber kid, who injured his knee in the first week of the season, kept rehabbing so he could be back in the series, and what a big part in the series that he played. So we'll hear a lot about that in the Cubs now. After they've broken that curse, they are going to be the big favorites to win it all again next year. And you know what? Hats off to the Indians. Terry Francona did an incredible job with that team. All right, now we're talking about what it means to Cubs fans, okay? How about this? This is a North Carolina man who drove back home to Indiana to keep a decades-old promise to his late father. Wayne Williams, his dad was named Wayne as well. He drove to the cemetery last night from North Carolina and listened to the game.
Oh, look at that.
With his dad. I mean,
that gives me chills.
Oh my gosh, you get all kinds of stories like that. It was just
great.
Something. And you know, so he sat there and, I mean, any number of stories like that, and that's what these Cubs fans have been going through for a long time. Now, tough times are something that you Georgia folks are not used to. Sam being the Georgia graduate.
Well, usually things are reversed. Kentucky's going through what Georgia's going through, and Georgia's going through what Kentucky.
All right.
So Kentucky's messed these things all up.
Okay, but what worries you about what the Dogs have to do is if Jim Chaney gets his act together, and you're saying, Jim Chaney, who is Jim Chaney?
Well, he's the offensive coach.
That's right. He's a guy that's been in football for about 30 years. He's the offensive coordinator. He was the interim coach at Tennessee when they beat Kentucky in 2012 after Derek Dooley got fired, and Darren Hinshaw, the Kentucky quarterback's coach, was his wide receivers coach. So the deal is, Nick Chubb, Sonny Michel, we talked about it, and they're incredible. Chubb had 222 yards in the opening game against Carolina. Last week against Florida, they had a combined 9 carries. They went and met with Chaney on Monday morning, said, we want the ball. Chubb, as a sophomore, 8.1 yards per carry. Michel, 4.8. Kirby Smart, the head coach, has said they're going to get the ball more this week. If you're a Kentucky fan, that's got to concern you. And finally, we talked about DeMarcus Cousins, right?
Yeah, big guy.
Okay, he did the whole hot yoga thing. Well, in the NBA season this year, he's averaging 27 points, almost 10 rebounds a game. But guess what? He's had a problem with fouls.
He threw something.
Saturday night, in a win against the T-Wolves, Cousins fouled out, tossed his mouthpiece into the crowd. He was fined $25K for that. Earlier this week, he racked up all 6 fouls in the fourth quarter. Cousins has fouled out in 2 of the Kings' 5 games. An emotional boy, El said.
And
what's that song?
One of the best big men in the NBA.
Great dude, too. I mean, just
nice guy.
It's that hot yogi. You got to channel it.
Yeah.
Got to channel it.
All right. Dave, thank you. Ahead tonight here on the CW Lexington, our Family Feud is next. Then at 8, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, followed by Supernatural at 9. Over on WKYT, The Big Bang Theory, one of my favorites at 8. The Great Indoors at 8:30. Mom at 9. Life in Pieces at 9:30. Pure Genius at 10. Followed by WKYT News Live at 11.
A little rain out there tonight, especially southeastern Kentucky. It's helping, at least in the short term. Tomorrow, chilly winds will blow. Dry this weekend looks good.
Our predictions on the Georgia-Kentucky game tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. We will do that tomorrow night. Not only how much it'll be, but why it'll be that way. How about that?
Ooh, I like that. In depth. Buzz, Chris, and Sam, thanks for watching live here on the CW. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.